For Saiva, her material responses contained woven symbols of the human and place. I first asked her about spun honey, which was entwined with the story of the gallery itself.
And so, fortunately, we were given plenty of heads up for this exhibition, and so I contacted Melinda, who is one of the founders of the space, and asked her to do some scouting for me because I don't live nearby. And she did some scouting of the space while it was under construction and found a beehive, and so she sent it to me in the post. I have a practice of casting wax as part of my art making, and so I was thinking about this beautiful beehive. It arrived clotted with very dark honey that was very similar to the colour of my hair. And so I was thinking about this beehive, and in my practice I'm interested in the connection between body and place and architecture as an analogue of the body. What fascinated me about the beehive was the repetitive sort of shapes within the structure, and how through the creation of this object, through repetition, the bee makes a home. And so I also have a practice of stringing my hair, and so the culmination of these two things was the creation of some spools of my hair made from beeswax cast from this site, mixed with wax found where I currently live on Yuin country down near Merimbula on the south coast, and then wax that I already had as well. So there's a series of shelves with spools that you can see behind Daniel. Yep.
Yeah, and I guess you went through a few configurations with this project. They've come on these tiny 20 by 20 shelves. What kind of led you to that? Because I remember at first you conceptualized it as more of an artist studio.
Yeah.
So this final results, how did that come about?
I think usually, as with all making, as a series of mistakes. I did sort of have originally a large steel shelf that with a collection of objects on it that felt like a sketch of my current studio space, and quite frankly the shelf was too heavy to to attach to the wall, so ended up making these, chopping it up into these small little fragments. The reason I chose steel was more of an intuitive thing, but reflecting on it, I think that there's the element of man-made industrial fabrication, the fabrication of an insect, and then my own fabrication of my hair. And so it's a sort of animal, mineral, vegetal structure all in one. And I just really enjoyed how when you look on top of them, they're a drawing. They're a single plane, and the objects are arranged in space, with sort of emphasis on the different tones and lines.
Because the placement of the objects is kind of something that I've noticed a lot about your work. There's a lot of negative space, a lot of breathing room in the way that you've kind of curated the placement of these works, but there's also this like off-kilter aspect to them. And you seem to have like a good instinct for this. Is it something that you meticulously plan, or is it something that kind of reveals itself to you as you create these objects and then place them on the work?
Definitely more of a revealing itself to me. But I think it's, for me, I see the space as a drawing in itself. So the stepping back, everything is composed relative to what is around it. And for me personally, that can only really happen in the space. I can't
can't think
think
of
about this.
Yeah.
Think about this without actually being there on the ground. I know you have a very very good skills at computer arranging it on the computer, and I'm in awe of that. But I very very much need to arrange things and feel things where they are, and sometimes they just arrive in a spot. And it's like, yeah, no, that's the right spot.
It's a beautifully constructed work, and there's another aspect, and I think the fact that you incorporated your hair in, and there is this like very human quality to using wax. It's got a lot of connotations to human flesh. Like, do you find this is like a representation, almost like a self-portrait of you as an artist, in like this kind of abstracted or materially embodied way?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I think I might have started by saying, and this is me over here, which I'm reflecting on it. Yeah, that every object that I make feels like a self-portrait in some way.
We'll talk about one other work, which is Bloom Where You Planted, and this is a laboriously produced work on plasterboard with threads coming through, and there's 1,225 individual pieces on this. So I think this relates a little bit to slowness to art and this slow art making throughout it. Does slow art have a role in your practice, or taking meditative time and just working within that kind of deep space? And
absolutely. I think anything that takes that amount of time requires you to slow down. The work was actually made, I was working full time, and so I would wake up I'd wake up at 5:30 and do an hour in the morning, and then in the evening I'd do an hour when I got home, and I was very stressed, and so it was a way of slowing down, and quite literally slowing down my breath, because I was very anxious. So it was definitely a way of connecting to my body and to where I was, as much as connecting to materials that are very much related to like the building of architecture. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Saiva.
Hey, thank you.